Oh, hello everyone. I'm Joe Messino. We're back again. Got breaking news. We survived. Yeah, yesterday was so great. I was up here doing a workshop, and I looked outside, and actually my eyes. I said, the sun. What is that? The sun. It was great, but of course we're in Pittsburgh, so one day is all we get. We're back to this. Now I heard it's going to get better this week, right? Well, I'm glad that we had some sunshine yesterday because that still doesn't help us when it comes to these deficiencies that we suffer.
The sunshine doesn't give us any vitamin D3 yesterday?
Not yesterday, it didn't.
Will you not make it? Yeah, right, my nose is in for half an hour. That's about it.
You can't, and that's the thing, even if we followed the rules, and we're out in the sun yesterday for at least 30 minutes, arms, legs, and face exposed with no sunscreen, you still wouldn't have gotten any vitamin D. The sun, the sun has to be at a certain angle in the sky for the UVB rays to penetrate the atmosphere. So even in a day like today or yesterday, won't work. The only times in this part of the country where you can get vitamin D from the sun are the midsummer months. That's it. 3 months. Yes, that's right. When it's at the highest in the sky. That's when you get your best vitamin D, yes.
Even my daughter, who lives in the sunny state of California, says that she doesn't get enough sun. They have a vitamin D lamp in their bathroom because
Right.
they wear clothes. He's sensitive to the sun, so he intentionally covers his skin when he's in the sun.
Right.
So even they don't get enough.
No, and the funny thing is that the people that live in areas like that, or in Arizona, or in Florida, they still have very low vitamin D levels because they either cover up or wear sunscreen 100% of the time.
Because we believe it's bad.
Right, because we've been told that it's bad for us, and it is not.
And the sunscreen company wouldn't make enough money if we didn't believe
Well, we always say you got to ask that question, why? Why is this happening? Well, and the answer is follow the money. You follow the money. Yes, sunscreens make a tremendous amount of money. Chemicals, they're making a tremendous amount of money. But that's not the only reason we're deficient. There's lots of reasons. So we're going to start this talk. We're going to focus on these three vitamins, vitamin D3, K, and K2, and vitamin A. And vitamin A is another one that got a bad rap. Oh, don't take too much vitamin A, it's toxic. I love when they say vitamins are toxic. I mean, God, give me a break. Oh, but here's, then you have to get bombarded all the time with commercials about these drugs and about these chemicals that they pass off as food, right? Chemicals that they pass off as food. I love this latest commercial from Pepsi. Did you see that one? Pepsi, now with real sugar. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is, what the hell have you been feeding us all this time? It's bad, I know. Okay, so let's get back to and you got to reel me in once in a while because I tend to get off topic. But let's talk about this first. Let's talk about D first because that's the most popular one. D3, the most essential. We have a pandemic in this country, which is an epidemic confined to a geographic region. The geographic region is the United States of America, so it's a pandemic. Why? Well, one reason, we don't get out in the sun. That's the single best source of vitamin D. But you have to live in certain areas, and you got to be able to get vitamin D from the sun all around, year round. You can't. Here in Pittsburgh, we're pretty much lost when it comes to trying to get vitamin D from the sun. Okay, so you got to supplement. The healthcare system is also playing a big part in the deficiency. Okay, we'll find out why in a few minutes. During the winter months, look at this. We average vitamin D levels of 15 to 18 nanograms per milliliter. Optimal levels are greater than 60. I think optimal should be greater than 70. But even if it's greater, if you have 60 or better, you're doing pretty good when you get your blood test taken. But seniors are at risk. The general public's not far behind at 85% deficient. Type 2 diabetics and children and women all show the lowest levels. Okay? So it's definitely a problem. Why? Well, because one, we've become a society of modern cavemen. We're inside all the time, right? And that brings me to that point of the sun being bad for you. If the sun was so bad for us, we've only been an indoor race or culture for the last 150 years. How long have we been on this planet? Thousands. How come the sun didn't kill us off as a race if we spend most of our time in the sun? Because it's not bad for you. Okay? It's not bad for you. Now, here's an interesting fact. Windows block UVB rays, which are the ones that bring you vitamin D. They don't block the UVA rays, which are the ones that make you burn like crazy. Okay? So windows are not a good thing. If you're getting the sun through a window, not good. Sunscreen blocks all the UVB rays. We know that. And look at this. Cholesterol meds, one of the biggest culprits. Anybody that was here for my vitamin D talk on Saturday, you would have heard this already, but I'm going to repeat it anyhow. Cholesterol medications block vitamin D production. Period. You could be in the middle of July. You could be out in the sun between 11 and 2. You could be covered, you could be uncovered from your whole body except for your bathing suit. And you could go in and you could not shower in chlorinated water. But if you're taking a cholesterol med, you will get 0 vitamin D. What's the top selling drug in the country? Cholesterol meds are in the top 3 every single year. And how long have they been around? Since 1979. So for 30-some years, everybody's been told, take these meds, drop your cholesterol, and don't get heart disease. They were wrong on all points. Right? In 1980, American Heart Association, in print, said, if we reduce all fat intake in our diet, if we use margarines and take cholesterol medications, we will eradicate heart disease by the year 2000. 2015, still the #1 killer. They were wrong, dead wrong, and they said it in print. Okay, so cholesterol meds block the conversion of the UVB rays to D3. This is something a lot of people don't realize. They go out, they don't wear sunscreen, they get sunbathed, they get some good sun, then they go in and they take a shower in chlorinated water or they jump in the chlorinated pool. Destroys the vitamin D conversion, chlorine. Okay? Because years ago, we would swim in the lake or the river, not chlorinated pools. Right? The chlorine, how many of you have one of those shower filters back there that filters out the chlorine? I do. I bought one for each one of my daughters. You've got to block the chlorine. Don't shower in chlorine. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's really a neuroregulatory steroidal hormone. That's why it does so many things in the body that we know of. There's so many receptor sites. That's why the absorption of it is so difficult. It's easy to absorb vitamin C. It's easy to absorb vitamin Bs, all the vitamin Bs. But vitamin D is so hard to absorb. One of the reasons is because it's not a vitamin. It's a hormone. And hormones are hard to absorb in the gut. Okay? So if you're taking a vitamin D supplement in a capsule, then you better have a really good digestive system. You'll still get some vitamin D, but you won't absorb as much as if you took it in liquid format and absorbed it in the mouth. Okay? So many things. Protects against so many different cancers. It reduces the spread of bad mutated cells, reduces the growth of new blood cells, which is angiogenesis. When a cell mutates and then populates and repopulates, that's angiogenesis of a mutated cell. That is what cancer thrives on. Okay? Vitamin D reduces that effect. It increases killer cell activity, macrophage activity, and your body's natural interferon. All three of these fight mutated cells. It affects over 3,000 of our genes directly, protects against many things, including autism, heart disease, and rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, this is a big player in the role of ongoing health and age management. So, as I said, people get tested in the wintertime. Their blood levels are usually less than 20 nanograms per milliliter. This is the test you want. 25 hydroxy-D or 25 OHD. Go to your doctor. Find out what your starting point is. Okay? Find out where you have to get to. You don't know, you can't find, you won't be able to know where you need to get to if you don't know where you're starting from. Get your levels tested. So sunlight, everybody says and agrees it's still the best way, but we live here. So we can't get our optimal vitamin D from sunlight. We have to supplement. Even if you could, 15 to 20 minutes, 40% of your body. Now, there is such a thing as a safe tanning bed. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. Don't wash it off with soap and chlorine. Don't burn. We still don't want to burn. We're not telling you to go out and get burned. That's stupid. You don't want to burn. What happened when we were kids? If we were out in the sun and we started to burn, what did our mothers do? They slap you on the back of the head and said, put a shirt on. They didn't slap chemicals all over your body. They said, go put a shirt on. How many of us remember swimming in pools with shirts on? Right? Because we were getting a little burnt. We weren't, we weren't adding to the problem with chemicals. Is there such a thing as a natural sunscreen? Yes. One is coconut oil by itself. Okay? But you can't still go out, in the middle of the Bahamas and be in the sun on the beach for 8 to 10 hours. You'll still burn. Okay? But you have to do it gradually. You have to be smart. Yeah. But there are some sunscreens that don't have oxybenzone, that don't have parabens in them. And I know they carry some here in the summertime. Look, read the labels, be smart, and find the ones that won't hurt you. Optimize your vitamin D levels by getting off statins, supplementing with a good D3. I mean, bottom line is everybody in here should be supplementing with a quality vitamin D. I take 10,000 IUs a day of vitamin D3. Everyone in my family does. My 2.5-year-old granddaughter takes 2,000 IUs a day. 2,000 minimum. Okay? You have to give it to your kids. And don't listen to the stupid RDA levels. Okay? Those amounts are antiquated. 400 IUs. That's why we're so deficient. That's why we have a pandemic. All of those things have contributed to it. Give your kids vitamin D. Give infants vitamin D. Mothers that are pregnant should optimize their vitamin D levels. The more they get, the more the baby gets. Okay? Optimize your levels. And can you get too much? No. Because if you did get in the perfect sun for 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, you'd make 20,000 IUs of vitamin D. So taking 5 to 10 is never going to hurt you. And you can't be toxic in vitamin D until you get way up over 120 NGs per milliliter. So I haven't seen anybody get that high ever. I updated this, how much you should take. Children under 5, 1 to 2,000 IUs. Ages 5 to 10, 2 to 5,000. Pregnant women, minimum 5,000. Healthy adults, 8 to 10. At risk, which means you're at risk for something like cancer, heart disease, neurological disease, 10,000 per day minimum. And the darker your complexion, the more you need to take. It would seem like it would be the opposite, but it's not. The latest research says that most adults need an average of 8,000 IUs of D3 to get their serum levels above 40. But that's not good enough. We don't want it above 40. We want it above 60. We want it 50 to 70. 70 to 100 is the preferred range to ward off and to treat cancer. So these levels way down under 20, boy, we're just asking for it at that point. Vitamin D reduces the risk of type 1 diabetes by 80% in infants. This is an incredible statistic. They followed 10,821 infants in the Lancet. Doesn't get more prestigious for medical journals. And infants given 2,000 IUs of D daily in the first year of life, they had an 80% less likelihood of developing type 1 diabetes. You hear a lot of talk about type 2 diabetes, very little about type 1. This is about as breaking news as it gets. They also found the location in human DNA where a lack of vitamin D will help multiple sclerosis to propagate. Okay, so that's far-reaching. Vitamin D has far-reaching effects in the body. Also has a positive effect on high blood pressure. It does the same thing that the blood pressure pills did, without the chemicals.
What did you say? Below decreases, I can't find it.
What?
Multiple sclerosis.
Right.
Lack of vitamin D.
Yeah,
Allows,
allows an increase, yeah.
allows an increase.
Okay, let's go back to those tanning beds. Previously, in years past, I was against all form of artificial tanning. However, technology has helped us. It is possible to find tanning beds that use a reduced form of electromagnetic fields. They use electronic ballasts instead of magnetic ballasts. This produces a better, safer form of light, and you stay in it in a much shorter time. 8 minutes is all it takes, and you're going to get the same equivalent of vitamin D that you would get in 30 minutes in the sun. They are safe, they're effective, and you can find them. Now, here's the problem. They're not cheap. They're more expensive. You got to pay value, something worth paying for. So if you do need to get vitamin D in the winter months, you have to seek out a place that uses the electronic ballasts, not the magnetic ones. You can walk into a tanning salon, and if you hear a lot of buzzing, don't go in there, because those are the magnetic ones. Okay, and they do give off a very high level of electromagnetic field radiation. Okay? Then there is a place in Pittsburgh that I know of that you can go to. It's a place in Bethel Park called Bronzed. Go see my friend Jessie, she owns the place, and ask for the platinum tanning bed, and you'll get the best there is. Safest, best winter tanning you can get.
What was that, bronze?
It's in there, yeah. Oh, the calcium paradox and D3. Have you heard of the calcium paradox? Well, it's been in the news in the last 6 months. Okay, and everybody, it started out, of course, as something bad, something negative. Oh my God, we're taking too much calcium. Oh my God, calcium is bad for us. Oh my God, calcium's causing heart disease. Oh my God, oh my God. You know, and you know who's behind those great ads and those great articles, right? Big Pharma, of course. They were behind, they tried to destroy vitamin E, they tried to destroy everything that's natural and good. But the problem was never the calcium itself. The problem was we are not getting the calcium directed into the bones. And if that doesn't happen, it does end up in the bloodstream. And that's when it's bad. So why, all of a sudden, are we not getting calcium into the bones? And when I say all of a sudden, I usually mean in the last 20 to 40 years. That time frame is when we went terribly wrong in this country. Okay, terribly wrong. We had all these additives, all these artificial everything. We have cooking devices like microwaves. We destroy our food. We're not eating farm to table, right? We're eating processed, overcooked, chemical-ridden everything. Because it's fast, it's convenient, it's easy, and it's cheap. And the price we're paying for it is our health. Vitamin K2, the latest deficiency now in this country. Now, vitamin K, who's heard of it? Right? Yeah. Oh, that'll thin your blood. There's two types of vitamin K. Did you know that? There's vitamin K1, folliquinone. This comes from green leafy vegetables. And does it thin your blood? No. It is required so that your blood clots properly. If you have a K1 deficiency, one of the symptoms is bleeding. K1 is not a blood thinner. Will it counter affect blood thinners that you take? Drug blood thinners? What do you think? I don't agree with blood thinners. Vitamin K is necessary. It's green leafy vegetables. But it has nothing to do with calcium. K2, menaquinone, this is what helps calcium get into the bones. Where can you get K2? Only one place. Grass-fed beef products. Whether it's meat, cheese, butter, or milk, the animal must be grass-fed, and even better, grass-finished. And there is a difference. Okay? Their whole life they should be able to eat grass and grass products. A lot of times they'll graze for most of their life, and then at the end they'll start force-feeding them grains and corns at the very end. Okay? But when we removed animals from the pasture and started force-feeding them corn and grain, we stopped getting K2 in our diet. Grass-fed beef products, they include higher levels of conjugated linoleic acid, an essential fat. They give you a more balanced ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. There's one of the other problems. And we know that a major health problem in this country is inflammation, right? And the cause of inflammation are foods that are pro-inflammatory foods. Omega-6 fats, too much of them are pro-inflammatory. They come from the main source, vegetable oils, the number one source. Okay? And what happens is the natural balance of omega-6 to omega-3 in your body should be 3 to 1. But because of us overeating these vegetable oils for the last 20, 30 years, now the general public has a ratio of almost 30 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3 in their blood. And we wonder why inflammation is a major problem. It all goes back to what you eat. Again, grass-fed versus grass-finished. Okay? If you can get them both, that's the best. But if it says grass-fed, at least you know that they've been at least fed their entire life, except for maybe at the very end, eating nothing but grass. What you want to look for, USDA organic. You can find beef products that are USDA organic and not grass-fed. Okay? So that if they're organic, that just means they've been given nothing artificial. Corn and grain is not artificial. They've not been injected with hormones, and they have not been given antibiotics. That's organic. Is that better than standard beef products? Yes. It's a step above, but grass-fed's better. Look for U.S.-based grass-fed as well. It's closer, farm to table. And the problem is grass-fed is pretty much seasonal as well. Okay? And it is. So you buy it when it's peak season and freeze them. Freeze it if you can. You can store it up to a year. K2, I want to say this again, has nothing to do with clotting in your blood. It's responsible for moving calcium around the body. K2 activates proteins that guide calcium into the bones and into your teeth. Okay? And into your teeth. So if we have a problem, a dental problem, it's more than likely not a vitamin D deficiency, not a calcium, but a vitamin K2 deficiency. It also activates proteins that escort other proteins out of the soft tissues and arteries, so where it can be harmful. So it provides a great service in your body. So the latest research, D3 and K2 inhibit the production of osteoclast cells. These are cells that break down your bone. Okay? In order to get bone building, you need osteoblast cells. That's what helps your bones stay strong and continue to build. K2 and D3. You can get that in a real convenient supplement. Yes?
Take them at the same time?
Yes.
Together?
Take them together, absolutely. So, with most nutrients no longer available in our diet, you've got to get it through supplementation. There's just no two ways about it. And the best form of K2 is minoquinone 7, or MK7. Has the most positive effect on all of these issues we talked about: bone metabolism, transporting calcium into the bones and out of the blood, and it helps regulate vitamins A and D. So the new triple threat via A, D, and K. Vitamin A, you add that to the equation, because remember, vitamin A is not bad. Don't believe those reports. And vitamin A is not beta-carotene. Beta-carotene has to go through many chemical processes in the body to break down to vitamin A. So you want to get pure vitamin A. Okay? It assists in the osteoblast, the bone building. So these are why these three work so well together. They give you the best prevention for bone breakdown. Taking vitamin A, vitamin D3, and K2 together. Okay? Together, not separately. So you have vitamin K2 plus. Name was changed after I did this, but vitamin K2 plus is the nutrient that has all three of these, and in these levels. You get 5,000 of A, 5,000 of D, and 500 micrograms of vitamin K2. You know what the RDA for vitamin K2 is? 43 micrograms. Not enough. Okay, as usual, the RDA is never, ever enough. But you can get this in one convenient little package, and the pills are so tiny, you don't even need water to swallow them. Okay, so if you have a problem with pills, don't worry about it. It's very concise in this particular delivery method. So that's the breaking news. Vitamin K2, just as important as vitamin D3. Okay, D3 alone is not going to be enough to build bone. It's not going to be enough to make sure that the calcium is not doing any harm in your blood. Calcium deposits that can show up in breast tissue. They can show up as calcium lumps all over the body, as a matter of fact. Okay? Vitamin K2 will prevent that from happening. So K2 plus is the product to look for from Nutritional Frontiers. Any questions? Covered it all? Covered it all. You got a question?
You mentioned beef, grass-fed beef. What
Yes.
about other sources of like free-range meat, like venison or things like that?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I advocate eating those types like bison or venison and even lamb, because they're always grass-fed. Okay? They're always grass-fed. So those are definitely better choices. If I go to a restaurant and it's a steak type of restaurant, the first thing I look for is whether they have lamb chops. And I'll take that over a steak any day because I know it's cleaner. Absolutely cleaner. They're only grass, because they're not harvested like cattle. There's not a mass production of them like cattle, and they don't have other byproducts. For the cattle, you got butter, and you've got milk, and you got cheese, and you got all these things you want to get, so they really want to feed them, get them as big as possible. They don't do that with lamb. Nope, they don't do it with lamb. Okay, any other questions? Okay, folks, thank you very much.